Welcome to the Neo Trend, bringing you the latest news from around the world. The South China Sea is a vital artery for global commerce, with over $3 trillion in trade passing through annually. Any disruption here threatens international supply chains, impacting everything from electronics to energy. Recent clashes between China and the Philippines have escalated from diplomatic protests to physical confrontations, water cannons, ramming, and blockades. Each incident risks triggering treaty obligations and drawing in major powers, including the United States. The world is watching a high-stakes standoff where a single miscalculation could ignite a wider conflict. China's sweeping claims, symbolized by its 10-dash line, directly challenge the Philippines' internationally recognized maritime rights. This dispute tests whether international law, like UNCLOS, can resolve conflicts when a powerful state refuses to comply. The outcome will set a precedent for managing such disputes in the 21st century. As of July 2025, every Philippine supply mission to the Second Thomas Shoal is a potential flashpoint. These missions highlight Philippine resolve but are fraught with danger. Neither side appears willing to back down, and the risk of catastrophic escalation looms. The question is not if another incident will occur, but when and whether cooler heads will prevail. The South China Sea's geography makes it one of the world's busiest and most strategic waterways, connecting the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Control over its islands and reefs means control over vital shipping lanes. Beneath the surface lie vast reserves, over 11 billion barrels of oil and 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. The sea is also a crucial fishing ground, providing food and livelihoods for millions. China's militarization of artificial islands has transformed the region into a network of forward-operating bases, equipped with runways, radars, and missiles. This allows Beijing to project power and monitor foreign activity far from its shores. For the Philippines, these waters fall within its 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone, or EEZ, as defined by international law. Chinese patrols have restricted Filipino access to vital resources, directly impacting the economy and food security. The conflict is not just about territory, it's a struggle for national resources and survival. For Manila, the stakes are existential. The South China Sea dispute is a tangible fight for sovereign rights and future prosperity. At the heart of the conflict are clashing claims: China's historic 9-dash line versus the Philippines' internationally recognized EEZ. China's claim, first mapped in 1947 and expanded to a 10-dash line in 2024, covers up to 90% of the South China Sea. The Philippines, backed by UNCLOS, asserts rights to resources within 200 nautical miles of its coast. Key features like Scarborough Shoal and Second Thomas Shoal lie well within the Philippine EEZ, yet are contested by China. China's control of Scarborough Shoal since 2012 has blocked Filipino fishermen from traditional grounds. The Second Thomas Shoal is now the epicenter of confrontations, with China seeking to dislodge a small Philippine outpost. Other Southeast Asian nations also have overlapping claims, but the China-Philippines standoff is the region's most volatile flashpoint. This is more than a bilateral dispute. It's a test of regional stability and the international legal order. The world is watching how power and law collide in the South China Sea. UNCLOS, the Constitution for the Oceans, defines maritime rights and zones, aiming to replace vague historical claims with clear rules. In 2013, the Philippines challenged China's claims at an international tribunal, seeking clarity on the legality of the 9-dash line. China refused to participate, dismissing the process as illegitimate. In July 2016, the tribunal ruled overwhelmingly in favor of the Philippines, declaring China's historic rights claim baseless and affirming Philippine rights within its EEZ. The ruling also found that none of the Spratly Islands could generate their own EEZ, further undermining China's claims. However, China rejected the decision and accelerated its activities in disputed waters. The tribunal's ruling is legally binding, but lacks enforcement power. This defiance challenges the credibility of international law. The standoff today is a direct result of a clear legal judgment clashing with a major power's refusal to comply. The world is left to wonder, can international law prevail without enforcement? Since early 2024, the South China Sea has seen a dangerous escalation. Gray zone tactics have turned into direct confrontations. China's Coast Guard and maritime militia have used water cannons, ramming, and even bladed weapons against Philippine supply missions to the Second Thomas Shoal. These aggressive actions have injured crew members and damaged vessels, raising the risk of fatalities. The Philippines has responded with smaller, faster boats, and by embedding journalists to document Chinese aggression, turning each mission into a global media event. This transparency has galvanized international support and put diplomatic pressure on Beijing. In June 2024, China passed a law allowing its Coast Guard to detain foreign vessels for up to 60 days, further escalating tensions. This move directly challenges freedom of navigation and the Philippines' sovereign rights. The risk of arrest and detention now hangs over every Filipino mission in these contested waters. Under President Marcos Jr., the Philippines has shifted from accommodation to assertive defense of its maritime rights. The government now documents and publicizes every Chinese incursion, using video evidence to win the battle of narratives. This strategy has rallied domestic support and drawn international condemnation of Beijing's actions. Manila is also investing in new patrol vessels, fast attack craft, and coastal missile systems to bolster its defenses. The 2025 defense budget reflects a commitment to credible deterrence. This assertiveness carries risks, inviting stronger Chinese responses, but Manila believes inaction is even riskier. The Philippines aims to impose costs on Chinese aggression and preserve its rights under international law. It's a delicate balance, standing firm without triggering open conflict. The U.S.-Philippines alliance is now central to the South China Sea standoff. The 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, once ambiguous, now clearly covers attacks on Philippine forces and vessels in the South China Sea. This explicit commitment deters China, as any violent clash could trigger a U.S. military response. U.S. naval patrols and freedom of navigation operations reinforce this deterrence. Under Marcos Jr., the alliance has deepened. Manila granted the U.S. access to more bases, including sites near Taiwan and the Spratlys. Joint military exercises have expanded, with the 2025 Balikatan drills featuring live fire exercises and participation from Australia and Japan. These moves enhance interoperability and crisis response capabilities. The alliance sends a clear signal to Beijing. The U.S. and its partners are ready to defend the rules-based order. The stakes are higher than ever, and the U.S. presence is a powerful counterweight to Chinese ambitions. The region's security now hinges on this revitalized partnership. The Philippines is forging new security partnerships to counterbalance China's power. Japan and Australia have become key allies, providing patrol vessels, radar systems, and joint training. Regular trilateral drills with the US, Japan, and the Philippines are under discussion, adding layers of deterrence. European nations have increased their naval presence and diplomatic support, signaling that the South China Sea is a global concern. This growing network complicates Beijing's calculations, as aggression now risks a coordinated response from multiple countries. Manila's strategy transforms the dispute from a bilateral mismatch into a broader contest over international principles. The goal: make the costs of coercion outweigh any potential gains for China. A peaceful, rules-based resolution is the ultimate aim. As of mid-2025, the South China Sea standoff is at a tipping point. China's gray zone tactics and sweeping claims clash with the Philippines' assertive transparency and strengthened alliances. Each supply mission to the Second Thomas Shoal could spark a wider conflict, with the U.S.-Philippines treaty raising the stakes. The line between coercion and armed conflict is dangerously thin. The economic stakes are global. Any disruption would devastate trade and energy flows. For the Philippines, it's a fight for economic survival and sovereign rights. Diplomacy is stalled, and both sides are deeply entrenched. The world watches, hoping to avoid a crisis that could reshape the geopolitical landscape. The fundamental question remains: can law and collective action prevail over unilateral power? The answer will define the future of the South China Sea and perhaps the world order itself.